welcome back to our channel. I'm Max.
And I'm Maya.
Why is that always so funny? Let me start up with thank you so much for the support and like the engagement we had on previous video. It actually got us it was a video that I was very proud of to share with you. And because I had all that footage from this summer and I didn't do anything about it, and then the circumstances didn't allow us to film. I just like love that how that story unfolded, and a lot of you guys have asked questions about it too, and which sparked a conversation that we had, because there's a soundbite from that video. When I'm doing a little bit of an introduction, we were giving a task to provide a photo of something that symbolizes us or where we're at, but not a photo of ourselves. And I chose a photo of Saga.
Jag är pappa till den här lilla tjejen som sitter här. Och jag ska säga att full transparency så kände jag mig väldigt rädd för att bli pappa. Jag trodde jag skulle tappa all kreativ initiativ och all lust för att skapa. Och jag föll nog i det svarta hålet också.
I wanted to like share how hard it has been for me to become or be struggling, or what do you call it? Balancing the life of a parent and a creative.
Is that what you talked about there when you introduced yourself?
That's what I was sharing about.
Oh, okay.
And just bring a little bit of awareness of that, because I think there's a lot of other dads or parents in general who are creatives. I know you, for instance, have definitely felt that as motherhood with your book that you wrote.
Yeah. So when I saw that little clip, because I was watching Max's edit, and I was like, that little soundbite, I'm like, that's an interesting conversation about postpartum for fathers, because a lot of the attention goes to the mother, rightfully so. But it's still a good, there needs to be more conversations and attention towards fathers who are that don't necessarily have this space because their partner is going through all the motions. So I was going through it, and I saw that you were going through postpartum, but I was like,
you don't have that.
Can't.
No.
Like, I don't have it in me to. But I saw you, and I felt for you, but I was just like, I can't. I don't have it.
And I think I also felt bad for feeling the way I felt, because I knew that this was about your journey and your postpartum, and because no one has told me about how men feel or fathers. Yeah. How do I process this? So I just tried to suppress.
Which you weren't doing a very good job at.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But suppressing can look differently, I think, too. Suppressing for me is not just being quiet, but suppressing for me is just like not owning up to what I'm feeling, is what I'm trying to say.
That's the definition, but what were you feeling?
Well, I didn't know what I was feeling. Like, that came after, because when I was reading your book about identity crisis, I was reading it from a point of view where I just wanted to be a supportive partner, because I already felt like I'm not the demographic of this book, mothers. And then your chapter on identity crisis, and there's a part in your book where you were saying, like, before motherhood I was living my best life, and you lived, this was a person that you were, and then you kind of like you're grieving your old self.
Yeah.
For me, I was like sort of like finally starting, because there's an age gap between us, so there's difference of where we managed to accomplish in life, obviously. And I just remember before becoming a dad, when you were pregnant, that I was starting to like get a hold of like, okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm
starting to get your stride.
And then boom, there's this effort of like, okay, we're gonna have a home birth, I need to make sure what my role in the birth is, in the pregnancy, and then okay, as parents we need to renovate. So I started to lose myself, basically. I lost my identity. I felt angry because instead of letting go of that and like allow time to do its work, I just instead was like pondering, grieving what could have been, and also constantly feeling like, why am I a dad now? Like it went really dark. It became very dark.
Yeah.
And I feel very sad about that now.
Why do you feel sad about that?
Because now, as it's as cliche as it is, like people keep saying like enjoy this time and because it's gonna move so fast. And now Saga is 3 years old, and all I just wish that I could have been more. Just enjoy the moment.
Yeah. It was hard. It was very hard. So like in my book that I wrote, which was birthed out of like how hard our circumstances were, because yes, they were hard for me, but then it was hard for Max to almost witness that, and not just witness it, but be in it. Because it was a lot of like, let's go to the countryside, let's do this, at home birth.
Yeah, it
And
moved very fast.
I mean, parenthood does require it too, but it was so much.
I had this-
Extreme circumstances and isolation.
yeah, I think in this moment, like, I kind of getting an epiphany now because I've been also very angry at the circumstances lately. Angry. I'm not walking around being angry, but like I've been
Playing through the
thoughts that now life is so boring and things are not happening so fast. But now sitting here having this conversation. Oh wow! It's literally like a tractor just outside of house. So they're putting in the reflexes. So we're moving towards winter. So it's like they're putting these reflexes along the
reflector,
streets.
yeah. So when you drive in utter darkness, you can at least see something. Anyways, okay.
Yeah. So I was saying that I'm starting to realize now, because what Maya is saying, that our life was so hectic and fast and so many things has happened. It's obvious that we needed a quiet time and this boring time that I'm referring to. That like.
When was the boring time? From what age to what
Now.
age?
I'm talking about
okay,
now.
yeah, like sitting down.
Sitting down, not moving, not traveling.
Because we did 2 years. Saga's first 2 years of life, we did 7 countries.
Yeah.
And then this past year, we've done
0.
0.
Because we
Maybe
went back
one
to
in
Toronto. Yeah, but we went
Yeah.
back. We've been there.
Oh, yeah, true.
Having that said, I've been also, but when I really think of it at depth, because it's so easy to think like, oh, I'm not traveling. Okay, but if I'm not traveling, like, go through the high grass and look through that and be like, okay, what have I done? Well, I've been side by side with my daughter very intensively, very close, and I don't feel like I'm wasting time anymore. I feel like every single step that she's taking, I'm there to witness. Yes, it can be scary because I literally drop her off at daycare and I pick her up the next afternoon and she's grown. But that I'm like, okay, I'm accepting that journey. The time when she was so young and I was pondering in my head, I was like, I'll never get that time back. And that is like a big hole that I have in my heart for that.
You'll never
I guess,
get the time with her back.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting because you were grieving what could have been, but now you're doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't look the way you thought, but
yeah. So maybe that is my definition of postpartum. This grieving that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Maybe that is the umbrella term for my, I don't know.
It's funny because in my book I have a whole section on grieving.
I read about my book.
Yeah, I read about it in my book. No, but like there's a huge like they just call it postpartum depression, and they kind of just like slap a label and they don't like go into like more exploration of what that means. And I found a lot of it has to do with grieving, whether it's grieving what you had or what could have been.
Yeah.
So that's interesting that I was grieving what I had and you were grieving what could have been.
What it could have been and what I had. And also like this whole thing of like, I cannot do it on my same terms anymore. Like I cannot control my time anymore. And I think we've touched on this in previous videos as well, where I felt like I just want to sit and edit. Now I'm out of a sudden I'm like having Saga sleeping on my stomach.
It's the control. Yeah.
It's this control. That's also a part that you have to let go of.
Yeah.
So I just think that for me it's been a lot of what could have been, and then also like I feel like this is a bit of a therapy session because I'm like I'm getting like epiphanies now. I sat down to like give you tips and advice of life, and now I'm getting it to me now.
I think you just sharing what you're going through is going to help.
This is not advice,
Yeah, people, like especially men, because a lot of I don't know what other people go through, but actually this kind of idea sparked because I was at a party and I was talking to a father, and he was just expressing how afraid he is of being a father. I'm like, but you're a father. He's like, I'm still terrified. And he I mean, I don't know him, but from what I see, he seems like a really loving father. And so it's just an interesting conversation that he's confiding in me, and I don't know how many people he's confided that fear of fatherhood. And then I saw the clip from Max's video, so it was just like, okay, we have to talk about
Yeah.
this. But now, at 3 years in,
Yeah.
how are you feeling?
No, I feel, again, I feel great. I feel like I'm finally balancing both.
Yeah.
But I think now I feel like I'm in a very good space. I have learned a lot from these 3 years. I suffered a lot, managed to get through a lot.
When would you say that started to turn for you? Like, because it felt like darkness or loneliness, but when did it turn like, this is I like this. I like where this is going.
I think it's pretty recent. It might have been during the summer.
Okay.
Just slightly before Saga's 3rd birthday.
Actually, you said something to me that I was a bit shocked with, because like I'm so do. And so Saga's like, daycare? Okay, go. And I'm like, yes, I had a little bit of a little heart pang, like, oh, I'm leaving her, like, but I'm just like, it's fine. And then you started to express like you miss her and you want her to spend more time here. And so that was like a moment for me to be like, oh, like I don't even think of that. But because you said it, I was like, we should probably keep her home.
Like 1 day a week.
1 day, or bring her home earlier. We kind of do Fridays early.
Yeah. Yeah,
So maybe at that point you felt like...
Yeah.
Which was summer, sorry.
But then I had a conversation with a friend of mine who's a father, which I also, if I do get to leave you with some recommendation or advice, if you're a father out there, talk to other dads, talk to other men, talk to whoever, female friends, whatever. Just share what you're going through, because it's nice to just mirror back with someone. And I talked to a good friend of mine who's a father as well. Our daughters are the same age, and he said, like, oh yeah, I was traveling with my daughter and it was really cozy, it was really beautiful, and but we noticed like 3 days in, when we had like intense time together, that she wants out, like she wants to go and
the daughter.
Like, yeah, we're in restaurants, she wants to like go to the flock, like she wants to go with other kids, she wants to go to these retired people, and like just like she like eventually. So he's like, they need that, and I'm starting to realize that too. Like Saga is literally waking up today and she's like, I want to go to daycare.
Yeah.
And so I think, yes, I want to be more with Saga, and I do think that there's a balance there, that I think that sometimes I do feel like she's at daycare way too long, many hours, and I'm working way too much. But I'm also realizing that it's a bit of a control thing that I have, that I want to be the one who has Saga, but then at the same time I want to work. So what do I want to...
Which is the priority right now?
Which is the priority. And daycare, like, I see how much she loves it.
Yeah. We have a really good daycare.
And she's, like, has barely been any issues dropping her off at all.
Yeah. And like when your daughter runs in and gives...
Yeah, and the daycare teacher has to tell, like, are you going to give daddy a hug? And she runs back out of obligation and just hug. Like, that makes my heart warm.
I feel safer, yeah. That she trusts her, like her second home, essentially.
Yeah. What about, if I get to ask you that question, then, like, how do you feel now as opposed to then?
So yeah, then was super dark, but I was present. I got distracted by my complications. Like I had like the breastfeeding thing, and I was like but in the process of that, like I always had Saga with me.
They're very close, those two.
Yeah. And I think I was like mourning about this like creative work, thinking like, I had imposter syndrome also, actually. I read about that in my book. But like I felt like I am not a creative. I'm not even creating anything. And just like, last I checked, creating a baby and then
Pretty creative.
It's creative. I didn't really do anything. I mean, just making it. But anyways, but there was nothing I thought creative about it. And then the older she got, like, there's just like creative things you could do, like baking. Baking is a new like creative thing that I'm embracing.
That has been a major shift in you.
Yeah.
Like, I used to be the chef in this house, but I'm starting to realizing that I did it maybe because I like enjoyed like sharing food, like provide food for the family. Now she's like, I made lasagna, for instance, like, and she's like, I'm gonna do lasagna next time, and I'm like, and she comes back and I'm sitting there eating it. She's not home while I'm eating it, and I'm like, this is better than mine.
Is it?
Yes.
No, I don't think so.
Your lasagna is better than mine.
Okay, well I didn't. Anyways, The point was, you
It's not-
glazed over. You've been cooking lasagna for years. I've never cooked lasagna a single time.
So your first time you do it is better than... Anyway, I'm trying to say that you have really evolved your creativity.
Let's talk about the pies that I bake.
The
Apple
pies.
pies.
Like bread.
Sourdough.
Bread. Like she does these like little salads. And
that's a massive, like, I never thought I could.
But you know what? It's fun to share this interest. Because before you weren't even bothered.
I was like, I'm in the kitchen just to get food into my system. I don't really care how it's presented or any of that. I'm just like in and out.
Yeah.
The fastest I could cook it, that it's good. That's good food.
That's what I love, like having people around and like cook a feast.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to cook all the food, just the two of us.
Right.
And just like, anyway.
Yeah.
That's like so. Would you say that through your process, you've been able to sort of like expand or finding new creative paths to sort of heal? That has been like what's been broken in you. You've healed it through like new creative paths, basically. Or
yeah, it's that. I think also just getting back into work. Like I do work, even writing a book. That was like creating. So that's something that I created. So I do feel the creating process as well as my faith. Like, because I was so like alone on an island, no family, no friends, everything is like virtual. So I leaned heavy into my relationship with God, because like I was just like nothing and no one, just a hollow, like crying, sore boobed mother. Like, oh. But yeah, I would say the differences now is like I feel like I'm way more resilient, and less of the world motivates me. What other tips would you have for other fathers who are going through postpartum?
If you're going through postpartum, God, it's so hard.
So we have talk to people, friends, trusted friends.
Yeah, I think if you can give yourself some grace, I think every advice I'm gonna give is gonna be so easy for me to sit here and say now because I'm on the other side. Yeah. All these advice have been told to myself, and I just shook my head. So now I'm shaking my head to myself.
Oh, really?
But I think that like really like take your well-being seriously. Like try to like be nice to yourself. Try to work out. Maybe if you need therapy, go therapy. If you're a person of faith, like do what you need to do in order to like work on your spiritual journey. Health should be dealt with the same way depression is dealt with, the same way sickness is dealt with. Just like treat yourself, heal yourself in any capacity you can. Having that said, I share my journey now, so maybe that could be something to just be aware of. And I know that I also learned something. I thought that my experience was equal to everyone else. I thought that everyone went through the same thing that I did. And then I started to like branch off to friends who've had kids, and I realized that their circumstances are completely different, and they're going through completely different things.
We went to a friend's place to see their baby, and they were we're like, how's everything? They're like, oh, it's great. Like everything was so peaceful. But they had like stability. They had 2-income home. They had like, it was just so stable, whereas we were like moving
with chaos,
renovating.
So it's also based on that. So my story is obviously going to be different to your story, but maybe we can meet in the same feelings at least, because that's what I've noticed, that when I talk to other person, that there's similar, that there's relatable aspects of each journey, as we share the same mission as being parents and fathers.
Yeah. So I have a chapter in my book, because I don't want to just like, there are chapters that solve specific issues like sleep, like breastfeeding, like identity. But then when you get out of the tunnel of postpartum or just like losing yourself, you're at a crossroads now where you have an opportunity to create a new identity. Because like you are no longer the same person. Like you are literally, I mean, you're going to have the same aspects, but now it's like you are a new person with a family now, or with a child. And you have an opportunity as this child grows to grow with them, because Saga was just so inquisitive and curious. And I remember being in this stage of like, because she was such a very like vocally expressive baby that always needed mama. So like I was stuck in like I can't do anything. I'm like, I'm a hostage. My child has held me hostage. And then she started to have like independence. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. You're not a hostage anymore. Like, open your laptop. So I would like open my laptop and do some work. And I was like, I'm doing some work. Like that was like that was a win because I kind of like threw in the towel. Like, I have no life. It sucks. I just have to be a like screen pillow. And Saga just has to like hold me hostage until she's in daycare.
Yeah. And
then the older she gets, because I think a lot of parents think that things are not going to change.
No.
Especially first time or if you're in it. And it's like, no, it does change.
Yeah.
You just have to be aware of those changes and just go with them.
It's also easy to get caught up in like, so I'm a very emotional person, and this is also something I'm not proud of, but like Saga, if Maya's in the room, Saga doesn't want to do anything to do with me. She just wants mama. Yeah, first thing in the morning, first thing at night. And I don't like this about myself, but I can become like, take it personal, like, oh, she doesn't like me, which is so, I know it's not irrational
but
at
I'm
all.
sure people can relate.
Yeah. But like, use that to your advantage. Get work done. Like, do like, if you are the provider, or if you need to work, then like, okay, I need to just get up, make breakfast for them, or like, not that I'm always following. I'm not saying that I always do this, but this is a lesson to myself too. Like, use that to your advantage. Okay, so when you're around, you have full freedom to do everything else but being with Saga.
Right.
Work in the shadow of her and just like do things. Again, advice to myself too. But
that is important because a lot of people are not talking about like, my daughter screams and only wants to be with her mom.
Right.
There's like this narrative of like, oh, my daughter loves me, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Who knows what the narrative is, but
yeah, I want to hear more about this in the comments below. What you guys think,
or what you went through.
If you went, yeah, exactly. If your mother or father, share with us how your postpartum was and how the journey has been from that to now, or if you're in it, or if you fear to be in it. I'm curious to know more about that. If you can keep that conversation going.
There was this comment like, nobody ever regrets having a child. I don't know if that's true, but at a time where I was just like grieving, I don't have any regrets.
No.
About where I'm at. Saga.
I have asked myself, why am I here? Why am I doing this? But I think I've been blaming my circumstances and again grieving what could have been. But I've never ever regretted bringing this child into this world.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's the biggest achievement I've done in my whole life. But that comes in the shadow of all these other needs that we constantly need to fill our life with. And
now you're in a new season of like, Saga wants to spend more time with you. And he's like throwing it in my face, like, I'm like, good, like I have time, like I could do stuff.
Yeah, with love.
Okay. With love.
I would have not done this video if it wasn't because of you. So thank you for actually bringing this up for us.
Right.
That this is actually an important conversation. I never thought this was an important conversation, and it became because you brought it to attention, and I was like, yeah, maybe it's actually worth something.
Yeah.
And I hope you found this video
helpful. Also, you can get my book in the info box below. It's about, my journey into motherhood, but to your point, just reading about someone's journey will help see yourself.
Yeah.
And will just help inspire and get ideas on what is possible, even if you're not a parent. If you're helping someone become a mother, or just to understand the psyche, and you were able to relate with it despite it not being for you, but you were able to relate to like the identity.
Yeah. Guys, if you found this video relatable, please share your story in the comments below. Keep the conversation going. We read all your comments and we love hearing from you. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel. It helps us a lot, and make sure to tune in for the next video.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.